Hello everyone and welcome to Hack Fukuoka January. Today we're introducing two people, Keisuke from Robo Japan and Pablo from Tsunagaru Edutech, based in Fukuoka, Japan. They're both on the topic of EdTech. So I'll let them take it away with their presentation. And if you have any questions or comments, leave a message in the Zoom room or on the YouTube stream.
Subscribe.
Okay, please, take it away.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm Pablo, and I will talk briefly about education technologies, how they will shape the future of Japanese education 5.0. Next one, please. We will start with what is the traditional learning and also online learning. The traditional learning, just to give you a simple example, the teacher is in the lecture and the students are in front of you and they're listening their presentations, and the students are in the same physical space. Online learning, we know now, and it's been for a couple of years in other countries, but in Japan, dramatically appear because of the coronavirus, right? So that is online learning when we are using online technologies, and when the student, they don't attend the presential courses, but not in person, but also the main method of online content is via online. Next one, please. And this coming with the hybrid learning. Sounds really cool, right? What do you think?
I really like it. I like the word hybrid.
The hybrid learning, let me tell you, it's just combine the traditional classroom experience that we have in the experiential learning, right? With digital course, content, but also how we deliver it. It's all in the content with the in-person, but also with a lot of online and edtech technologies. Next one. So that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about online learning, when we're talking about hybrid learning, this is something very important. We need to talk about edtech, right? Educational technologies and LMS, learning management system, are one of the key component of the online education. Now, before maybe the corona or another institutions, they never heard about what is LMS, what is VLS. LMS is the same. VLS is virtual learning systems, and LMS is online learning management system. We all connected with hybrid learning when we're talking about learning analytics. So when we do online education, we only need to track the student experience. How we track this experience using learning analytics, but also more deeply with learning analytics, we're talking about education data mining, and that is very important in terms of engineering or software developers. We're just not talking about the prediction of what the students are learning, but also how they can learn and how we can support those students. So when we use about learning analytics, we can explore more deeply with that kind of how the students are learning, but also now we are using technologies like an AI and how we can track the student experience with that new tools. Next one, please. And that's just one example about, in my own experience that we did a couple of years ago in the hybrid activities for engineering students. So when we're talking about engineering student, we create this kind of experience with 3D models and for mining education. This is what's in Australia. So we create the content before to the lecture, before to classes, and to interact with this kind of 3D immersive experience. And then the student, face-to-face in the classes, the student have the opportunity to discuss more deep knowledge, more about the skills, group discussions, and also we discuss about case-based learning, about this kind of 3D model, and then we discuss in the classroom. And after that is the post-class, we can talk about online learning. The student keep learning after. They allow the student to learn themselves. It's that kind of flexibility. This is post learning. Next one, please. So basically what we do, we create online content, quizzes, multimedia resources, video interactive. The students say, wow, so good, well, fantastic, I'm learning multimedia. But it's not only that multimedia that's fancy due to videos or interaction. We also need to think about how the student will learn. And that's also we create 3D printing 3D models with the provide learning activities to the student. We also involve with LMS notifications. So when we use this kind of learning management system, you are allowed to send invitation to a student, and the student, they will pop up, say, oh, I have to do this quiz, I have to do this course.
When you say student, which age group are you talking
We're talking about higher education, but also this is very common in high school students. So now the students are using more LMS than before.
Cool.
And also we track, as I said before, LMS, education data mining with learning experience. Learning analytics is so important now in this kind of hybrid learning space. Next slide, please. And that's a simple example what we did. Hybrid learning experience using 3D modeling, scanning with drones, the mining. Because we couldn't bring the student for safety reason to the mining, we create this scan with drones, and then we create this kind of immersive experience with 3D, and the student really love it. The software allow us to create VR, virtual learning experience, so the student put a headset, and they were immersed in the mining.
That'd be so cool.
So it was really, really interesting. And also, the idea was to immerse the student into this kind of VR or virtual reality space. What we got, conclusions, we always, when we do any project, when we do case studies, we also need to think about what is the feedback from students. And the feedback was very positive. They really loved the 3D immersion experience. We got very high attendance of this kind of virtual experience, positive assessment. And the instructor, when you have this expertise and you work with edtech companies or experts, the instructor upgrade their skills. They learn more. They create more robust content, more training, and also the staff. Their staff who work in learning analytics, we can track the user statistics, integration, and more engaged with more content. And after that, research. We co-research. Next one, please. At this, we go on to now the situation right now. How do we build 21st century learning skill? And that is something what is happening at the moment in the World Economic Forum, telling about how important we need to upgrade our skills. If we think about 2015 and 2020, 2015, complex problem solving, negotiation, critical thinking, and now, number one, complex problem solving, critical thinking. And it's very important because this is also part of the engineering curriculum. ITS, engineering, this part of the three main, complex, critical thinking, and creativity. It's the main things that need to be considered in the new programs or universities' engineering curriculum. And this is also part of the Engineering 2030. It's the new agenda of the future engineering education. Future jobs, again, if we don't have the skill, we need to be prepared. We need to be very, very prepared with this kind of advanced technological war and society 5.0, robots. People think about, oh, they will take their jobs, or we have to be careful. Well, if you're prepared, if you have your own skill, if you are confident that you have the skills like this one, top 10, maybe be sure that you will get a job in the next 10 years. So we're talking about data analytics, science, AI, operational managers, software application developer. This is what's coming very, very strong, and we have to be prepared for this kind of future jobs. And the COVID, the pandemic has accelerated this kind of innovations. Next one, please. And then we talk about LMS, we talk about online learning, we're talking about classroom experience, hybrid learning. What happened with universities, faculties? Well, we're talking about smart campuses. We're talking about the new technologies, not only learning management, but also we're talking about how these technologies, they change the lower operational costs for universities, because you don't need to, when the student go through the classroom, if you have a smart sensors, the student, they turn it off the light, they turn it on, aircon. So when we transform this kind of LMS into our campus in more smart, it's very beneficial for universities, for companies, but also for what we can provide for the student. And then we provide better student experience, flexibility. We talk about distance education. And when we provide this kind of smart campus technology, we are talking about how the campus can be more smarter, more sustainable. We save energy, right? Next one, please. Another example that we did a couple of years ago with when we create this kind of, we found the problem It was for vet education. A student that didn't want to commute to very long school. This case was happening in Australia. It was lower attendance. How we can engage with the student. We start creating, which identify the problem. We create online content. We transfer all the content online. And then the impact was to promote better student experience. And also we save costs in the faculty. I will tell you how. How we did this, especially for universities, for business or training, how we can save money in this kind of online war. I will show you how. Please, next one. What we did, we identified the problem. It's always important to find the problem. Second, we team discuss with the team. We try to build this kind of open academic collaboration or with the subject expert, with our expertise to provide them, to facilitate training. The most important in this online education, hybrid learning education, is we have to train. We teachers, we academic staff, they need to be open, they need to be able to understand that they're expert in different fields. And if they open their silos, we can help them. And with a very interesting classroom in the cloud. And the last part was to reduce faculty costs. With this kind of smart technologies, the school reduce costs. They don't bring experts from overseas, just via Zoom. So now we don't need to pay a lot of cost for this kind of ticket, hotels, things like that. Next one, please. Basically, implementing cloud technology. Zoom is one of this is talking about 3 years ago, before the coronavirus. Just to give you an example, that it's happening before, and that's how we use the Zoom in mobile tablets and also with desktop and software room for create this kind of online and Zoom experience for a student. Next one, please. Flexibility in, out of the campus. Why? Through the app, through Zoom. So when we have this kind of experience, we need to think about student-centered flexibility. So the students are the main component, the main key in the educational process. So we have to think about them. And we have to think about provide flexibility. The students now, they're learning completely different than 10 years ago. They have a smartphone, they have technology, they have YouTube. We have to be able to provide us flexibility. Extend online and on and off campus activities, program, schedule more alternative to do, use more technologies and explore potential new emerging technologies. Just to give you, when you blink your eyes, there's a new technology already created in some part of the world. So just think about how fast this space is moving, really, really fast.
But this iPhone looks old, no? Because we have
correct,
one button.
because it was 3-4 years ago, right? So
Or
that's
maybe
the
SE2.
case study that I'm telling you about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Just kidding.
And think about when we have a smart campus technology, when we have this kind of immersive experience, well, what is the benefit for faculty, for universities? That is a project that we built in overseas, that it was part of the smart dashboard. And then we collect with IoT, or Internet of Things, that we collect sensors, real-time biophysical data to put in this kind of digital dashboard. And the student will learning through this kind of real experience, what happened. But also develop content based of that with real sensors, but also focusing problem-based learning scenarios. Next one. And we are back to the reality now. Right, this happened a few years ago. We're talking about Zoom. Things 3 years ago.
Finally.
This is, everyone know the coronavirus, boom, 2020 now, 2021, and I'm just thinking about what's happening in the corporate world. Just many corporations now they're thinking about, we need to think about, wow, the online learning is so fabulous. Wow, we are connecting with people all over the world. Like now, we're doing live streaming. Maybe people from anywhere in the world are watching us. Hey, we're talking about the digital forms in teaching experience. Now Japan has a very traditional, talking before, very traditional education. Now they're taking very serious about the online education and how they can shift these advanced technologies. And this is how we are here at Tech Experts, help them to move really fast, to don't be in the traditional way, to innovate with an agile environment and to provide the student better experience. Campus University, all lecture will be into online until summer 2021. And I think they will extend now. So think about the reality. Typical top traditional universities, always traditional learning face-to-face, now online, they see the benefits. And coronavirus, top UK universities planning hybrid mix, online and face-to-face teaching. So this is how it's happening right now in the world, in EdTech education. Next one, please. And like again, it's pushing this pandemic, right? Very pushing the innovation to escalate to remote work. Now we are talking about hybrid learning. We are talking about hybrid training, hybrid working. We have to think about accelerated digitalization, especially in Japan. We are here to help institution companies to move in that process and to accelerate the automation. So this is the three things that are happening now with the coronavirus. And also we have to think about how affect our new skills. And then you see about 1 or 2 months, well, we will need to learn new skills. How fast is moving to get new skills? 1.5 months cloud computing engineering skill. We have to be prepared for what's coming. And then we're talking after that, we're talking about micro training. We think about 5 years of university studies, think about micro training, small pieces of content, training, education that students can absorb or learners in this kind of very competitive world. So then when we're talking about pandemic, it also has accelerated this kind of micro training, micro learning. And top skills, again, before analytics, active learning, complex problem solving, critical thinking, technology, design, and programming. This is how important universities also have to think about ITS or maths or engineering or critical thinking to analyze this kind of unknown world, right? Next one, please. And in Japan, case studies that we did here in Japan, no overseas, right here, university, Kyushu University, with engineering school, with a very amazing professor, Mika Tamura. We worked together, and what we did, we combined digital tools, LMS, online learning education, SDGs, Sustainable Development Goal, and Japanese education. We tried to create this kind of new experience. We say BRL, DRL, ARL, before remote lectures, during remote lectures, and after remote lectures. What we use, again, LMS, learning analytics, quizzes, EdTech tools, and also after this kind of experience, due to provide to students more extra content to keep learning. And that's what's very good. We promote this project as a co-research between industry, us, academia, us, and then we present in Australia, and there's one conference in Australia about education, EdTech education. So we are not just talking about only case studies, and that's it. So, well, this is fun on my part. Arigatou gozaimasu. Keisuke is you too.
Oh, yeah. But you don't talk about it, Tsunagaru, or it's okay that you don't need to?
Well, yeah, I think it's, well, as I explained you before, what the project that we did, at Tsunagaru, it's based in Fukuoka City, and we provide assistance to training, micro training, online learning experience, digital learning content to industry or academia that they need our help. Basically, you can visit our website, jump on our website, email to me, and if you want to know more. But that's just the general idea. Just try to show you real case studies that what we are doing with other institutions, with public sector too. And also the important thing is to update the skills, be prepared, because Tsunagaru EduTech is here to help you. Thank you, guys.
And for those who don't know Japanese so much, Tsunagaru actually means to connect in Japanese. So it makes sense, right?
Tsunagaru is connect. We are not connect
connect
only in Japan, all over the world.
We connect each other by EduTech. That would be kind of cool. Thanks, right?
Yes, arigato.
Arigato.
Yeah, thank you very much. If there are any questions on the Zoom chat or on the YouTube, please ask them now. We got a chance. But if not, Keisuke, we'd love to hear from you, and then maybe we'll have a few extra questions and discussion at the end.
What time do we have?
Looks like nothing right now, so let's keep going.
Okay, sounds great. All right, so my name's, can we start? Can I start? Yeah? All right, so my name is Keisuke. I'm from local Japan, but actually we are good friends, and now we also work on the Tsunagaru EdTech together as well. So this One is about Robo Japan, but basically we talk about edutech today. So we are going to the edutech, but also a lot of information from Pablo, and I hope your brain is not exploded yet.
Please
but,
no.
But this one is more like a casual, and I hope you're gonna get something. And also, I will like to answer any question if you
Please.
have it. So maybe
Jump
you can
in.
prepare for asking the question. That would be great.
Feel free to.
All
ask
right.
questions.
Also, to be casual, and then let's have fun together. All right. So, Robo Japan, our catchphrase say, "Code your imagination." So basically, we are providing robotics lesson, programming lesson, 3D modeling, those kind of things to kids. The age group is 5 to 15 years old. So you mentioned a high school student, so maybe pre to high school things, and that's what we usually do. Could you go to the next one, please? All right, so I think you can just skip that part actually. So this is more like a boring part. But basically, we do the code your imagination. This means that we want to enhance the kids' imagination more. And in Japan, we also say this. The next one, please. It's all right. Sorry, all the slides is for Japanese. So what you can see is Japanese, but I'm gonna speak English like this. So could you go back to the previous one, please? Thank you. The theme it's said in Japanese, but imagination, but also creation.
Yeah.
So imagination is unlimited, right? And so big, but it's something that we cannot see and intangible, right?
Yes.
But the creation, when you create something, if you create a tangible thing, you can actually see it, touch it. So we are the kind of bridge between imagination and creation. So we are gonna push the kids, and then the kids, children, they're gonna get the kind of skill to put the imagination out there, so everybody can see the imagination, and then we can say, "Oh, this kid children is so creative," or something like that. That's what we want to do, and the way we do it is the next one, programming with our own robot, and then so they're gonna explore how to program, and also the robot is tangible. Okay, so robotics is the one thing that Tsunaga Tech could do, but so
Correct.
this is also what we do. And the second thing is the next one, 3D modeling. This is also fun. Kids really love it. So they create kind of 3D like modeling on their PC computers, but also we have a 3D printer. So you actually able to print it out, and you see kind of,
This is very part of the experiential learning, right?
Exactly,
So
yeah,
when the
thank-
student can learn, not just only with content, just in the lab, with touching the lab,
Yeah.
the material, smelling this kind of
Yeah,
plastic,
exactly.
right?
Too. That's also the hybrid learning,
Yes,
that kind of stuff.
correct.
And then also we have the next one would be the circuit design. So basically, this is our 3 pillars based on how you build the robot in the future. Because when you build a robot, you know how to communicate with robot, and we need programming. Also, the robot need body, right? So they will know how to build the body by 3D modeling. Also, circuit design, it's like the blood flow for the human. So for the robot, not the blood, but the electricity, right? So children will know how the electricity goes and they move. And so this is kind of brain for the robot. So that's basically what we do. And could you go back? Go to the next one. Thank you. And a STEM education was STEAM education. This is what we are tackling. We talk about this actually
Yes,
today.
today we
That
talk
was
about.
so cool. So basically, STEM education stands for like a science and engineering and science and technology, engineering and mathematics, right? But basically, those are kind of concepts that we are learning. For example, mathematics or science, you learn at school. But this is more like a concept, right? But you never like experience something like this. But you brought a kind of interesting topic today when we
Yes.
were having the conversation
Correct.
that they never mentioned any robotics or something like that.
Yeah.
But
This
Right.
is something that we can talk about, the kind of science, technology, but then we are missing something, STEM education. It could be like kind of robotics, right? Because now it's so important field, especially in education now, that it's all connected. It's all connected with engineering, math, technology. So
yeah, so Robo actually added like a few features. That's the next slide, please. Oh, actually, we just missed it. Sorry. Sorry. Robo Japan, we added R and A on the STEM education. So we said a stream education. It's like R as robotics and A as art. So STEM plus robotics and art, and we put a stream education. That's the new brand. But this is not just for robot, of course. This is for the education, the tech. That's something that we want to do. This is a closer look at the robot. You see the robot, it's
So
like
cool.
a Roomba.
It's so cool, right?
Yeah,
So the
thank you.
kid can programming, do maybe.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So you know how to learn the programming, but also you see several stuff. This is sensors. So many types of sensors. That's you can just try it out.
Awesome.
A touch sensor, or a sound sensor, light sensor, or like a
It's
motion
incredible
sensor.
now, right?
Yeah.
The kids now they're learning this kind of. When
Yeah.
back 20 years ago, we were not thinking about that. Right?
Yeah, you could have had it, but
Yeah.
But that's so fun. The kids, maybe sometimes the children don't know, understand everything, of course, but that's normal, right?
But it's
at
basic
least they can
concepts.
have fun, and then that's very important for children because when they're young, like a children,
Yes, correct.
they're gonna memorize it. They're gonna remember they had fun with this. So even they grow up in the future, but they don't have any like a barrier between robotics and then that kind of stuff. You can just actually join in or jump in and say it was not that hard.
Yeah.
I think that's what we want to do. So they're breaking the barrier in the early stage, and that this is not that hard so much, and then just have fun. That's what we want to do. So go to the next slide. This is the laboratory. That's what we do. This is more like a controller. So when you get the electric device and you get the remote controller, you know which one is the button to turn it on and turn it off, right? It's like you need to follow their rule, but this one, you can actually define, okay, which one is the turning off, turning on, or, so you can just actually assign any button to any motion, so it's up to you. So we want to encourage the like a freedom and let's do whatever you want. That's what we usually do. Just go for it, please. And then this is a 3D printer, and that's what we have. But also this engineer cafe, they have it as well. So you can just try the 3D modeling at home, and also you can bring the model here, so you can also print it out.
This is good to know that you can, if I'm not wrong, please, I think people can come here and print, right? 3D and
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
modeling wood things, so it's fantastic.
So yeah, everybody should, just make something and then just bring it here. That would be kind of cool.
It's kind of making a space, right? It's
Exactly.
a making a space.
Yeah, and the support is here. Then maybe I can help you as well. And then just go for it. And also, we do the offline lessons in Fukuoka and Tokyo, but also we do online lessons as well. Like you said, online education is very key. And then since the coronavirus, and then even if you want to come to the classes, but online lesson, this is always an option, right? So unfortunately, we need to have the online lesson, but also fortunately, we were able to get the student not only in Japan, but also outside of Japan as well, from Thailand, India, and then some kids, children, they want to test it out from the US or Australia or something like that. So very international community, but also for children in Japan especially, having the international community and then get the global sense. I think
Correct.
also this is kind of additional value that we do. But this is like a kind of boring part. But this one is more fun because this is not about the robot. So when you hear about creating a robot or building a robot, but still, maybe it's so hard to imagine, or maybe the robot that you see is kind of limited. The only thing is 2 arms, 2 legs, or maybe
But
look
thinking
like
about
animals.
MIT now, right?
Oh, yeah.
MIT is doing incredibly advanced. And what is the robotic company in United States?
Like a robotics, robotics dynamics?
Dynamic.
No,
Right?
Boston Dynamics.
Boston
sorry.
Dynamics, right? So they're really bad.
Did you see the dancing
Correct,
robot
right?
video?
So, and it's
should have put it
support, financial support with SoftBank in
Yeah.
Japan. I think part of it, but it's interesting what they're doing, I think, in terms of robotics.
Yeah, but maybe we are geeks or we are into this,
Yeah.
so we have the idea. But basically, it's so hard to imagine. But could you go to the next slide, please? This is something that you have seen in the movie or animation, and
Love
it's a
this.
typical robot,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, exactly. Hope you have some favorite robots here, but
Japan robot.
yeah, Gundam. And then next slide, please. But also, this is a kind of real case of what you can do after learning the robotics lesson. And we talk about this, but you have heard this company,
yes,
right?
correct.
This
correct.
is called Zipline in the US, but I think their main target when I met them was Africa continent, and then starting from Rwanda or something like that. And then what they do is they're delivering the kind of blood for the donation, and for the surgery thing. But imagine that in African country, some areas still
very remote
infrastructure is
areas,
not
right?
good. Exactly. So
Took
not
hours by car to
Yeah.
go to these places.
or if
yeah.
something happened for the storm
Emergency,
or like
yeah.
a heavy rain or something, so you are not able to reach
Yeah.
on time or in time, right? So they think, okay, the drone could be the solution because the sky is like limited and then nothing is bothering you or like
Yeah.
interacting you. So that they figure out the way to deliver kind of blood.
Very clever way.
Exactly.
Very clever.
So when I met them, the 4 geeks from the US, they came up this idea. So this is also one solution to give kind of good social impact.
Correct,
And
correct.
then the next one, this is actually we met him.
Yes,
because you found
nice
him.
guy. I
Yeah.
found this guy very, very.
LinkedIn, right? It's
Yes.
so random. If Asa is here, hey Asa.
Asa, if you're connected, so
Yeah, but he's living here. Here means Osaka in Japan. Now he's doing it drone, but the drone is. You think the drone is basically for the filming or taking photos, that kind of stuff. But he actually used the drone to maintenance, the kind of
Correct.
renewable solar energy.
correct.
or
It's
renewable
very
energy.
interesting what he's doing with his drone, right? Because application not only for the field. You think about the drones, entertainment, multimedia, but that's what he's doing. It's very interesting in engineering
Yeah.
process, right? He has underwater drones, but also when they scan with 3D photogrammetry, this kind of area provide this kind of 3D immersive experience, so company can see more in detail what
Yeah.
it's about lands or engineering
And if
process.
you really care about the social impact, and
That
the
is very
SDGs,
important.
That's
I think
really
that is why we all connected together with
Yeah.
social impact, not just thinking about how we can, our solutions, our expertise can help,
Yeah, yeah.
connected with the SDGs.
Yeah, exactly. And then could you go to the next slide? So those are the kind of robot introduction of what we know or what we have seen. And also this is good for the society as well. And then could you go to the next one? But also, I want to show you like 2 cases of kind of like cool way of how to build the robots and how you get the idea of what kind of robot it would be like useful like that. So hope you know what TED Talk or TEDx or TEDx. If you don't know, this is so cool platform that all the knowledge from the human beings or like the experience or everything is here.
I hope someone from TEDx can invite us one day.
Yeah,
Please
we are
invite us one day. We want to speak.
Maybe one day we can
Yeah,
just present,
right.
but something like that.
Yeah.
And also multi-language. So if you
Very
even
useful.
if you don't know English or something, it doesn't matter because there's so many options.
So
right?
incredible. That's quick and subtitles.
So I want to ask you a question: like, who hates cockroaches?
cockroaches.
Do you
Yeah,
like
yeah.
cockroaches or? But
Yeah,
you're not gonna
but-
say you like cockroaches.
Because in Australia there was so many cockroaches that when I moved to Japan, not many because
do
it's
you
too
have
cold.
as
But it's
pets
very
or-
no, not pet, not from
Yeah.
Always there somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Big one, big
Yeah.
one in Australia.
So I guess so many people wouldn't like cockroaches, but actually cockroaches are quite good example for the robot. Then one guy just came up with an idea. So next one, please. So this is a cockroach, how cockroaches perform, and then this is a feature of cockroaches. For example, cockroach can fly, and cockroach can just move so fast. Even the grass is interrupting them, but actually they can just take a balance and then just go forward. Or they can just, let's say flip, but they're gonna get the bounce back, right? Also on the table, they were able to like walk even under the table in
Yes.
like an opposite way or something like that. Don't care about the gravity or something, right? And we cannot do it, but
yeah,
they can do
they
it
can
somehow.
do it.
So one guy just came up with an idea or thought, what if we can mimic all the function that cockroaches have to the robot? The robot will be super useful because
Yes.
this robot can go everywhere, right? And so the guy just built the cool robot, the next one. Thank you. So this is the actual like a robot that he just created based on how cockroaches move. So obviously this one,
By
this
Inspire
one,
robot.
right?
Amazing, right? Yeah.
So cool. And then when you see this like a talk, visit the TED Talk, TEDx, and then just search the cockroaches and robot, you're gonna see it. This is amazing. So this is kind of one thing that maybe you have so many examples everywhere, even around you. You don't need to be super creative.
Yeah,
But
this
you
is what
start
is a new
something.
area, bio-inspired technologies, right? With the nature, a lot of how the small animals or creatures can provide our open our knowledge, our
Yeah.
imagination, right? So that's something very
Yeah, exactly.
interesting.
So Isaac Newton also like why just like Apple
Right.
just dropped, and then he just started looking at it and then found how to say.
Yes, but also some back to what you're talking about the robots, and I think I did in other presentations when we're talking about robot and Japan, we're talking about robot. It's also about well connected with the Shintoism, right?
Ooh,
with the
yes.
Shintoism, because in Japan,
He
when
loves Shinto so much.
well, I love Shintoism. I like to go to the shrine.
I love to.
So when we think about robots, also we think about the Shintoism in Japan, and that's attached. Normally, Western people have a different idea, but in Japan, when we think about robot, they have soul. It's something they don't see just a piece of mechatronic.
Yeah, yeah.
They have a soul, and that is very, very interesting to see that. Why Japanese people, they don't see just a simple mechatronics or robots or arm. Think about that. Behind of this is a person who dedicates time. It's like kind of craft person that creates something for them to contribute to the society. So that is important to think about. That's robots also in Japan.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So this is also one example of the robot, but I want to just share one more thing, and I'm gonna finish my presentation. So could you go to the next one? So this is basically the theory is already there in the nature, but we can just follow the kind of nature that already exists. So the technology advance, it doesn't mean we are creating a new world, but the world is always there. The theory was already there when we were born, but the technology advance, we are able to figure out what theory was already there. So that's my opinion. But this is what we basically do. And then the next one, please. Thank you. So this is also another way of how robotics can help people. So the guy that you can see on the screen, that he had kind of spine like a trouble issue. So he somehow that he couldn't get out of the bed, and then he couldn't move even the neck. I think he was paralyzed above the neck. He can just move only the eyes.
Correct.
So this is unfortunate, but could you go to the next slide, please? So another guy, that he came up with the idea, and then the brain what is I'm sorry, I forgot in English, but
Science? No?
neuroscience, So you see the kind of signal from the brain, right?
Yes.
And this one able to operate the robot.
Yeah.
So he was like way far from this actual like a stage. It's like a 300 kilometers or something like that. But he was able to connect to the robot, the drone, and then you should watch this video. So this guy, the inventor, that he just asked him, "Hey, are you happy that you are here today?" And then he just think something. So the brain signal just came to the drone, and then the drone just nodded instead of him. That's so inspiring.
Very, very inspiring.
So maybe it's not inappropriate to say this, but I'm kind of jealous of him.
Yeah.
Because I understand that he went through such a
But I think
situation,
this is when we're talking about technologies, not just to create weapons, right, in the military thinking. When we're thinking about technologies back to the society,
Yes.
to improve our lifestyle, and that is something about when we're talking about Society 5.0, right? That we spoke in a couple and other webinars that we have in our channel. It's just not about Society 5.0. The main concept is the better human life, and how with the help of AI, robotics, artificial intelligence, we can provide this kind of support. With these technologies will help us to extend our life, to bring our logistic things, our things from the supermarket via drones. So that is the thing, the concept that Japan is moving for, and also we, as Keisuke and Tsunagaru Edu Tech, we moved to that kind of concept too. It's all connected with our job too.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, he just wrapped up my presentation. Thanks. No, it's okay. So what I want to say is, like you said, exactly what you just said. So technology is maybe just kind of tool. So we can just go through it and we can just take advantage from the technology. But we also think, we need the heart, right? Like a human heart.
Correct.
And who you're gonna build the technology.
Correct.
And then so I just show you the example, but also this is my responsibility to show those kind of good example for children or my student, because after learning the robotics or the programming, but getting a program, that kind of skill, that getting the skill is very important, but also what you're gonna do with the skill. I think that's more important, right?
Important.
So I think that's our responsibility to show that kind of good example to children, and then once you get the skill, this is what you can just do. So not just build kind of cool robot, but actually you can make the big
purpose,
social
right?
impact.
Social
and
impact
then,
with
like you
robots.
said, we can make our human lives better
Yes.
in so many ways. So I think that's what we want to
Yeah.
deliver that today. So yeah, let's finish it,
Yeah.
and then let's have a question thing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for that talk about robotics, Keisuke. We do have a few questions coming
Oh, that's
through.
good. Thanks, guys.
Let's start with a relatively simple one for Keisuke.
Yeah.
The robot kits that you showed us,
Yeah.
are they available for the general public to purchase? So are they only for robo, or how would you do that?
So actually, this is for sale, of course. So if you are interested, definitely you can reach out to me, and we are able to sell. But what we basically do is not just selling the kit tools, but we have a kind of curriculum. So basically, we are providing education program, education classes with robotics. So what we basically do is, actually we have three a business model as Robo Japan. One is B2C, so we are providing kind of robotics lessons for children and whatever family, and then so kind of monthly subscription, that kind of stuff. And the second one is talking to the schools or local government or community of education, and then we ask them, talk to them, and if the school really love our product, we can also install the whole 1 year curriculum, and we can update every year, including those kits. So not just the programming, but also this robot kit and the laboratory. That's what we usually do. Also, we do kind of franchising as well, but this is basically deal. But again, this is for sale as well, so you can also, if you want, you can just purchase from us. Thank you for the question.
Great, yeah. Another question, which maybe will lead to a bit more discussion, is from Mark on YouTube. What do you feel like you're learning so far about implementing tech and distance learning in higher and secondary education? So, implementing tech and distance learning in higher education and secondary education.
Yeah.
Pretty broad question.
Yes,
Yeah.
very
Maybe,
broad question.
Pablo,
right?
do you want to start on this one?
Yeah, I think it's I think now with the situation happening right now with
Yeah.
this pandemic, right? It's been transforming the teaching experience.
Yeah.
One thing is teachers from universities or higher education or junior high school, everyone is online, and most of the teachers, they didn't have experience how to use any Zoom or
Yeah.
online or video tools. I think if we think about online education, we also need to think about training, learn new skills, get experts, bring to your curriculum, kind of provide new programs, new expertise. But when we use technologies, educational technologies, it's a million, thousand of new technologies over there. You always need to identify an expert that can provide you the knowledge, how you can properly will implement it into your lesson, into your classroom. Technologies, it's just the tool, will help you to reach, let's say, better student outcomes, learning experience.
Yeah.
So we always need to think about the technology is always the tool. The main thing is the person, how expertise I have to provide better student experience. So always the technology is the tool to driven that kind of experience.
Yeah, I agree with it. But also, what I want to mention is, I think provider and also providee, I think that's the relationship that we need to also think about. For example, even if we think, okay, so implementing the kind of digital education or those kind of things, but also providee, I mean, those who got that kind of service, but if they're not keep up with it, this is also so hard because, for example, what I'm kind of facing to is that we want to install those kind of curriculum to schools, but school really love to have this, let's say, but they don't have any Wi-Fi connections or something like that. So this is more like kind of circumstances wise, right? But
That's a good point.
But even like this is happening to us, like if we don't need to do it, we wouldn't do it. But
Yes.
if something happened and then you really need to do it, even though you don't like to do it,
Yes.
something is pushing you, so you need to adjust, right?
Yes.
That happened to you in your life, of
Yes.
course. This is happening to the school that's kind of, maybe let's say in Japan.
Yeah.
So,
But it's a very interesting point that you mentioned, because also the technologies, technology is not just kind of fancy, expensive content or technologies. We think about also with the developing countries, right? When they don't have an internet in the student, they don't have internet at home, and how they can learn if with due to video if their data is very low.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about social impact, when we're talking about the educational technologies, we also need to think about that. When we create technologies so advanced, will help who? Developed nations?
Exactly.
Or if we have the big picture, my technology will help also those developing countries to improve their skill with very low data and things like that, consuming data and things. That's something we always need to think and discuss, that how technologies not only help developed nations, but also we can help African countries developing in South America, etc.
yeah. So I think they go on site and they actually see the real issues, and if the technology is one way to solve that kind of issues, I think that's way.
Correct.
But also you cannot afraid of also adjusting the new technology. For example, if you think back, like using candle and using a light lamp, like a light bulb, that's
Yes.
a kind of huge change, right? But so you cannot think that okay, technology is kind of way advanced, because from like candle to light bulb, that's also a great
Yes.
gap, right? But if you like it or not, but we need to use that, so we are adjusting it. Now it's normal to use the light bulb. So now the situation, the world is kind of going that way. So if you like it or not, but you need to push yourself and then try to adjust, because that's there. But again, like you said, the technology is just tool. So what do you do with it? I think that's always the question to yourself too, right?
Great, thanks for that answer. Another question coming from Chad on Zoom is, what are the challenges of selling EdTech into the Japanese market? Specifically, comparing high school and higher ed.
I think it, honestly, in terms of my own experience as a EdTech or working in this kind of industry for many years, Japanese market is very unique, and we have to provide evidence before to sell any software or tool. Japanese people is very focused in comparing things and what is the impact will do this to my students. So when we're thinking about in other countries, like we have the tool, cool, okay, let's bring it. But in Japan, it's very society with all very research focused, right? Let's say like very driven term. Okay, I want to evidence if it's working or not. Show me your case studies. Show me that's kind of so. Entering the market, Japanese market, you need to work with companies like, for example, us, Tsunagaru Edutech, that we are providing certifications for certify your tool, your software, entering the very competitive and high demand skill markets, right? We have to think about Japanese market is very unique market. It's very huge, but also how we approach as a vendors this tool. Have to be very careful, and how also even just a simple marketing campaign in your website, you need to be careful how you promote this tool, because if you don't have an evidence or comparing other cases, it's not going to be very popular your tool, in the Japanese market.
Yeah. Maybe your question is about like a higher education or maybe high school. So maybe my target is kind of children from 5 to 15 years old. But my understanding or my case, the challenges are the fear of kind of technology, especially not for kids, but more like a parent. So what we want to do is more like breaking the barrier of the fear that technology looks so hard, or seems so hard, or maybe I cannot use it or something like that. But on the other hand, that fear is also a chance for us. So I would say the challenge, but also the chance as well. So let's say, so the good part of offline lesson is that the parents, they don't need to do anything. They can just bring their children to the school and that's it. So we're gonna take care of everything, how to use the computers and how to use the robot and programming, everything. So you don't need any knowledge about the programming. But when we do online, what we can do is provide online lessons, right? So we're gonna give them like a cool, like a detailed instruction, but still, they are the one who actually use the computers and then let's say connecting the
Yes.
Zoom, starting connecting the Zoom, and then do the programming, everything. So we always need to ask their parents to sit right next to them.
Right.
So if something happens, even the technical issues, but we cannot just give them idea or instruction, but those are the ones who actually do stuff. So that case, online, we can provide a lot of lessons, even outside of Japan, but that could be the one challenge.
Very, very important point.
But I forgot to mention that Robo, we provide a lesson in English actually, and also with Japanese support as well. So we have, let's say, like two tag words or keywords. Like we do robotics, but also we do like an English lesson as well. So we have like a two-way to get customers.
That's great.
Let's say you are interested in like robotics or programming, you are interested in Robo, but also you are interested in more like learning English, then programming, they know that programming is also important. So it's kind of let's combine those kind. So having the two kind of entrance for the customers, the potential customers, that's also one strategy that we do.
Okay, another great answer. A slight follow-up question from Chad. Do you have any experience working with educational standards? So rules and regulations you need to get into high schools and universities. Maybe Pablo,
I think it in terms of Australian institution and in Japan, they are all well regulated, right? Government control and have a strict policies about education. But now, because they're online learning, it's a new topic, right? Especially in Japan. Now the policies are changing. Before they have this kind of traditional lectures, having a student in front of student, and you have maybe 45 minutes, 2 hours listen to person. And now, I guess it's happening now in many universities or in a school. They're changing the teaching now. The policies, internal policies, and that's why we talk about. In my own experience, before we have this kind of online learning policies, that's for not only for teachers but also for a student, because you need to know some regulations when you use online learning. You have to be a little bit careful what you do, what you say in the classes, especially for example in the lecture, when you have 120 people connected. And you have the teachers, and when you appear in YouTube now, a lot of YouTube funny things, and they interrupt the professor. But when you talk about the teacher, they spend time to prepare this lecture, and then they just one person student make it fun to appear in Instagram. There's some institution they have quite regulated this policy, and this is very important. The student they need to know about that. There's policies exist this kind of online education policies that you can connect a certain time. You can avoid these things. This is why we say a kind of common sense in terms of digitalization, right? It's getting, that's going to be more common now with this online education.
University might be this different situation, but in elementary school or like a junior high school, the regulation thing is, for example, themselves, let's say they have a Wi-Fi circumstance, they have a Wi-Fi connection, but the policy is too strict sometimes.
Yes.
You cannot download any like a Google Chrome or even like a email or it's a Zoom or something like that. So to be honest, sometimes they say, what can you do with these circumstances, even if you want to do like an online education or edutech, that kind of stuff. So that could be kind of one kind of regulation that we are facing too. But then also, I would say, I forgot what I want to say. Sorry.
Can I jump in and just say, how do you actually get around that regulation? If you're not allowed to use the Wi-Fi, what do you do?
So one thing that the good part of this robot is that we use Scratch, but we can download the Scratch from outside. So somehow, if we figure out how to download the software, actually it doesn't matter if you have online Wi-Fi or not. You can use that Scratch without any Wi-Fi or internet connection. So you can connect this robot to the PC, the laptops, and then you open the software like a Scratch on the PC. So programming part, robotics part, you can just do without Wi-Fi. That's one thing that we do. Another regulation will be, not the regulation, but the school, they have kind of whole year annual instruction or a structure of the education way behind 1 year before. So when the year starts, just following the instructor.
This is what's happening nowadays with the hybrid learning experience. Now the universities or schools are creating this kind of online program, right? With very clear specific time. When do you want to spend time in this kind of online education and student experience? And that's something that is very interesting. But also the teachers have to be able to provide the flexibility, right? So students, they have to understand that they are not in the lecture anymore and now they're at home and they now normal environment can interrupt their lessons. So it's all about flexibility.
Yeah.
And that's something very important that the new generation or new teachers, they have to understand that.
Yeah, flexibility is very important.
Very important.
But the reality is that still the school is to stick to the kind of strict kind of rule, the instruction. So let's say this is kind of new types of education. Right?
Correct.
So even if school want to have it, but they don't know which part, which lesson that they can use this. For example, now they have all the curriculum for the schools, right? So they cannot add the new things in the created curriculum already. So for example, let's say math lessons that they have, let's say talk about the shapes or like a triangle or rectangle or something like that. Actually, there's scratch. We are able to draw something. So this part could be kind of math lessons. So let's learn math by this kind of cool technology. That could be one thing. Or we can also create some music through the scratch.
That's great.
So maybe this could be part of the music lesson or something like that. So finding the spot, which spot that this can fit, and finding that in the kind of restricted kind of instruction or structure, I think that's kind of challenging, but could be the fun part.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're just about running out of time.
Ooh.
So I'll say one more time, thank you again to Pablo and Keisuke.
Thank you very much for
a great
inviting us.
talk.
So we are really happy.
Yeah.
And thanks for all the
To
great
be here.
questions on the stream.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, see everyone next month, hopefully.
Yay.
Let's see you
We're
next
gonna
time.
be in Fukuoka, so let's
Okay.
see you.